We were really, I would say, fertility naive, and I guess we just maybe assumed we would get pregnant after the first cycle. It wasn't a success for us. I'm Grace, and this is my 3-month-old son Jack, an ARGC baby. And at home we have Ben, his brother, his big brother, who is now 6, also from ARGC. Thank you to Mr. Taranasi and the team here. So that's our family. It really is an ARGC family, so we're very grateful and thankful. So right in my mid-30s, I was quite into my career, etc. We decided, I think 2 years post getting married and having had our honeymoon, that we'd like to try for a family. And so we started to try, and I actually got pregnant very soon, but unfortunately had a miscarriage. So from there, we had a consultation in the NHS. Our experience there it was very much a standard protocol. We were really, I would say, fertility naive. And I guess we just maybe assumed we would get pregnant after the first cycle. It wasn't a success for us. I had an allergic reaction to one of the medicines, and I felt, the new medicine that was given to me, I wasn't quite sure how personalised it was. There was no monitoring of my progesterone levels. So obviously we were really devastated. So I mean, what I did do at the time was, of course, start looking at all the different options in London, the different clinics that were available. I had, at that stage, narrowed it down to 2 clinics. I was very much leaning towards ARGC because I felt like you weren't just given a standard protocol, told to follow this and come back in 2 weeks or a week. I liked the fact that you were going to be monitored each step of the way. And I know that's intense, but for me it felt like I was willing to commit to that because it's a big financial commitment, and what we were ultimately trying to be was parents and have our family. And I felt like that with ARGC, there was a reason why they had their results, and I think it was because of the personalised journey, but also I went in eyes wide open. It was very measured and fair, and you have the information. But I think that, we were willing to go on that journey and take those extra tests and the extra steps, because we felt like if we're there, we're going to need to commit to those now, because they could make the difference. For the first week or 2, you're coming in daily or every 2 to 3 days, depending on where you are. There's really early clinics, so you have your blood tests very early in the morning. So I was able to come in, have the blood test, then go to my workplace, then get that phone call from the nursing team. I was actually glad to be having these extra tests, so I could sort of understand each day how much of the treatment, they were tailoring it according to my actual result, which I felt confident in. It is intense. I think you just need to try and be prepared in advance, so to know that that's coming, and for your partner to know as well, and adapt and work together on that. For example, we had a euploid embryo, when I was so delighted, because I was in my early 40s at that point, thinking that this is it, this is going to be the embryo. We had everything in place. I'd taken the time off work, I'd really relaxed, but that didn't take. And then sort of regrouped, and again, I just felt that ARGC, we were able to come back together again after that, reflect, and there was a recommendation to try another immunotherapy, like the next level up. Having sort of had the news when we had the first transfer, hadn't taken, I was so devastated. I remember thinking I was quite sure I was pregnant. And then I had come to the clinic by myself that day, and I, in hindsight, should have come with a friend or my husband, because I got the news, and while the team were amazing and they were like, let's take time together, what I really needed was just to get that raw emotion out and be by myself, and then with a friend or my husband, and sort of really process that, because it's just raw and it's devastating, and you really do need to just take the time to be really sad and upset about those losses, because there's such a build-up, and then it allows you to kind of regroup and maybe give you the energy again to have that hope. It's the hope that kind of keeps you going through the whole process. That's what but at the same time, you need to not ignore the emotions that you need to feel, because it's just so important to go through those as well. So by the time we got to transferring the embryo, the second embryo, and we got the news that the test was positive, yeah, I was just obviously, we were absolutely thrilled. But I would say we were very cautious. We were cautiously optimistic because we knew, okay, this is really amazing. We are in the next step now, the next step of our journey, because now it's okay, we're pregnant. This is amazing, we'll enjoy that moment, but now we need to think about like what are the next steps as we are sort of going through this early phase of pregnancy to make sure we're doing everything we can to maintain the pregnancy. And so it really was only when I got to week 20, if I'm honest, when we had that scan, that I realised when I came out of that scan, I thought, oh, actually now I'm really pregnant. Now we're actually going to be having a baby. So yeah, I started thinking about taking out the old clothes from underneath the loft and getting things organised and actually telling people. We kind of held off telling anyone. I think we felt complete as a trio, our little trio that we had, but now we feel like just it's an even more amazing experience. And so it's been, we're so grateful to ARGC, Mr. Taranasi and his team, that they've just given us the gift of Jack and Ben, because he's like so world renowned and everything, but he's so involved. He's very patient focused. He's really passionate about what he does, and he is right there at the point when it needs to be optimally chosen to when to do the egg collection. And so I think that's just amazing, his dedication to really trying to give people children. So yeah, forever grateful. Thank you.